All right, let's get started. Spirit and universe, what are the messages, advice, and guidance for Geminis? Most important message for Geminis. Chesed, empathy. Okay. Place this here and let's read this. The fourth emanation, the hand that embraces, the healing tears brought on by the forgiveness of sins, each kindness repaid in kind. Chesed's force pulls humanity together, allowing peace to exist between us. This is the power to look inside the hearts of those around us and see that we are truly alike. Our need for love and kindness is an essential part of our existence and transcends all other differences that we might have. Chesed is at the very center of the pillar of mercy, defining its core characteristic and forming an extreme opposite to its female counterpart, Jivara. The two arms on the tree extend in opposite directions. Chesed pulls tight so that Jivara cannot push away. This wrestling match cannot be won by either side. Yet the struggle itself is meaningful because it is the struggle that defines our morality. So this is very interesting because it has to do with keeping a balance in our understanding of others and keeping a balance in understanding of ourselves. And through that balance and through that understanding turns into empathy. All right, so I'm going to place this here. And now I'm going to pull a high-level spiritual message. What is the high-level spiritual message for Geminis? High-level spiritual message. This part will be short. This is the Mary L. Tarot deck. I don't read these upside down. This is a very interesting message, specifically because of this card. Because this has to do with very much with battling ourselves, battling others, trying to understand others' actions, especially when we feel left out in the cold. And trying to figure out if it's worth it to continue the battle, internally and externally. Because sometimes the battles are just lose-lose situations. Now, this is a very interesting card for a couple reasons. First, the Empress is underneath it. So I have this feeling like there's, like, pregnancy is in the air. For some weird reason, Geminis, there's just pregnancies in the air. And I'm not saying all Geminis are pregnant, but there is this air of fertility around you this month. And it's funny that this card, most Five of Swords don't have a baby in the picture, but these owls around her head or that are enveloping her are wisdom. They represent wisdom that we learn as we are trying to understand that something may have been lost, okay? This is a lose-lose situation. Nobody's happy. And if we were, this is like after the fact, we realize that something beautiful may have been growing and may have been quote unquote birthed, but we don't realize the beauty of what could have been until after the fact. That's why these owls represent the wisdom of what we learn when we lose. Okay, so there's tension, there's battling, there could be pregnancy, but it is a message of potential loss and thinking along the way with the Hermit here about what we could have done differently. That's part of these owls here. What could have we done differently? Should we have done something differently? So there's great introspection regarding this situation this month, all right? And it's calling for us, calling for you to have empathy. Understand how empathy is formed, what it is, what you need from the other person in terms of empathy. So, okay, I'm going to leave us with this message, and then we're going to pull your cards. Okay. I'll refer to these as we go. Spirit and universe, what are the messages and advice and guidance? That was the Five of Wands that popped up, so definitely an internal battle. All right, Geminis. The card at the bottom of the deck is the Ten of Cups reversed. Unhappiness. Okay, we already know that there's fighting. We already know that it's calling for you or the other person to have empathy. Now, some people don't have empathy. Okay, we take that for granted. There are people that cannot process emotion that way. All right, I'm not speaking to those. Okay, if you're in the midst of a relationship like that, there are different issues. Okay, but unhappiness, lack of fulfillment. So what is this about when it's calling for empathy, when there's internal and external battles, when you're being called to have introspection? Maybe this is what your other person needs to have, is introspection, figuring out what they did wrong, tapping into emotions. The Hermit is usually high on an ice cliff or in a mountain, like it's a card of Virgo. But in this deck, he's surrounded by water. This is calling for introspection into emotional realms. How do you feel? Why do you feel this way? How do you want to feel? How do you want to be treated so you can feel the way you want to feel, etc.? How do you respond to people? How do you react to people? How do you want them to respond and react to you? You're very socially aware. So I'm sensing this is about the other person. Okay, someone's feeling left out in the cold. We have a lose-lose situation, and we have the willingness to fight another fight and continue going. But we have to ask ourselves, at what point do we call it lesson learned? At what point do we call it lesson learned, and what was learned? So, emotional unhappiness. Okay. It's calling you to make a decision about the amount of fairness that you want in a situation, in life and love. Okay. Making a decision. You don't need to be on uncertain, footing. You want to let go of this internal battle. It's almost as if you kind of already know the answer and are unwilling to look at it, but eventually you do. I'm not happy. I'm making a decision. I need equality. I'm not feeling this anymore. I don't like the way it makes me feel. I feel insecure. It's making me lose my confidence. Okay, the Strength card reversed. I've also lost trust in you and us and in this situation. Okay, this doesn't have to be a love reading. If it is, either way, I've lost faith, I've lost trust in our ability, all right, to trust each other. What once was so very promising and what once where I felt very connected is now being overshadowed by the Tower. This is breaking down. I don't like this. I need to move away, making a very swift decision based on practicality and logic. Not based on emotion. You already know you feel like this. You already know you feel like this. You already know you deserve this. King of Wands, Queen of Wands. These are two fire signs. You could have a fire sign coming into the picture. This is also telling you that you need someone to step up and take charge, and it doesn't necessarily have to be you. Maybe you've been trying, but maybe the answer, maybe where you're going to get equality is with someone that is a lot more take charge, a lot more mature, emotionally mature, and have the ability to stand up and accept responsibility and accountability for their actions. Okay? Someone that's showing apathy and boredom and unwillingness to compromise, unwillingness to show interest. Okay, this is a game to them. Yes, they may be bored. They may be apathetic. But when you are in a relationship with someone and they decide to be apathetic and silenced without taking you into account, then you're not an equal partner with them. If they subtract you from the equation of partnership and start making decisions on their own without talking to you about it, then that means they don't care about you. Right? If you're in a team environment, if you're a partner and one person just decides to be quiet and not talk to you, that's a very selfish and very unhealthy action. It is not equal or fair. Maybe there's another type of archetype in a personality, all right, that you would mesh better with. And all of a sudden there's communication. Okay, all of a sudden it's ending. There's not anything to celebrate. Okay, why? They're not taking the action. It's all just bullshit words. Or nothing. So, here you were. Here you will be, possibly. Here it is, the Tower, making a decision about it. Okay? How much work do you want to continue putting into this when you're not getting things in return? All right? And maybe you are. This could be calling for you to understand a circumstance. Okay, this could be circumstantial. Okay, it's still frustrating. There's still a Tower moment, but it could be circumstantial. So it could be calling for you to have patience and empathy. Okay, this could be calling for you to carry the weight during this time. But when there's one-upping, okay, and endless battles, 9 of them actually, and somebody's feeling left out in the cold, we can have all the ideas in the world of how to fix this, but at the end of the day, we're spinning our wheels. Totally spinning our wheels. All right? Can this be turned around? Yeah. Anything can be turned around, but it takes 2 people. If you're getting met with resistance, okay, and you're being forced to make decisions, or not being brought into somebody else's decisions that they just so swiftly decided to make without consulting you, that's not a partnership. That's not a love match. So how much more work are you going to be doing that continues to make you feel like this? There's nothing here to be celebrated. Now, what's good about this is there's not a third-party relationship going on. This is more of internal power struggles, relationship power struggles, work power struggles. So there's frustration. There needs to be understanding from both parties, not just you. That's what this is about. All right? So this is calling for a few things. One, okay, healing needs to be done. This could indicate you going on a trip, traveling, going near water, over water, to sort out your thoughts. This is a card specifically for you, Gemini, all right? You need to either be by water or travel or sort out and calm down your emotional uneasiness. That's why this water is all like rough here and calm over here. You need to go to a place where your emotions can be calmed down. Right now, they're not calm. Right now, they're not calm. Right now, you're feeling like you're being taken advantage of. Or just subtracted from an equation without you really knowing that that happened. So sorting out your emotions, healing, but remembering that this is not only a card of healing, this is your fellow air sign Aquarius's card. Not only healing, but maintaining faith that one, things happen for a reason. Two, there's always ebb and flow in the relationship. So you're trying to discern whether or not you're just picking up slack, if this is temporary, or if it's worth fighting for, or if you really are left out in the cold. Okay, you're trying to like discern all of this information, but you need some silence in order to do that. You need to spend some time really thinking about it and thinking about how you really feel, because there are moments, you know, or maybe it's turning into like weeks at a time where you're not feeling good. Either your feelings are hurt or trust is being broken or you're being blamed for something. It's like, I'm sensing this, and I don't know if this is surrounding a pregnancy at all. We do have the Empress card here. I don't know if that's the case, but it does have to do with how worthy you're feeling. And ultimately, we have the Eight of Cups here. So there is a walking away that's being done. It could be temporary. This card is often a temporary walking away because we go to seek solace in our emotional state. We're leaving a lot of wonderfully spent, built emotion, you know, a built up emotional history and past. We're walking away from that, but the tide will inevitably push us back towards that. So it can be a card of temporary separation. Okay. Which could be all this is for the purpose of restoration. All right, let's pull some clarifiers. Spirit of the Universe, please clarify the Ten of Cups. This could have been a very karmic relationship, and the thing with karmic relationships is they do tend to end badly, or they do tend to just abruptly end without us understanding why. And they cause us to really learn about ourselves. And we can only hope that the other person spends time in their own introspection, learning about themselves. They tend to be lesson learning relationships that are very painful, but can manifest beautiful, beautiful confidence on the other side later. Once we go through the healing process and the understanding process, once we separate. So that's what this could be. It could be a karmic relationship that you put a lot of work into. Okay, actually I was clarifying this. Eight of Pentacles. There was extreme focus on this relationship and you're not happy, at least not right now. Okay, please clarify the Two of Cups in the Tower. Please clarify the Two of Cups in the Tower. Hanged Man, you could be dealing with the Pisces. This hurt so much, it was so abrupt because it was so promising at one time. Please clarify. Maybe an ex came back. We are in Mercury retrograde. That tends to happen during Mercury retrogrades. So there's like a big shakeup. Why is this Strength card reversed? Geminis, that's very surprising to me because you very rarely have, you may have trust issues, but you certainly don't have confidence issues. You tend to be worriers though, especially if you were born in the second half. You can be very worry oriented, spinning thoughts oriented. You don't show it though. Please clarify the Strength card reversed. Why is the Strength card reversed? This is calling for something new. Maybe there's a new job. Maybe you could be moving. I'm not saying moving, but you could be traveling to inquire about or interview for a new position. It does require travel over or near water. That's a possibility. It does include work. You are kind of tired about it, but there could be new job or new money on the table. And it has you very worried. Okay, I'm not gonna pull it. I'm gonna pull one more clarifier. So please clarify this 8 of Cups. Please clarify this 8 of Cups. Please clarify this 8 of Cups for Geminis. The Moon reversed again. You could very easily be dealing with the Pisces, but this is definitely a card of deceit, manipulation, lies. Okay. The Moon, I actually just learned the Moon can be a card of pregnancy, but overturned could be a card of miscarriage. So walking away because you're basically not feeling valued. So you are either temporarily separating and figuring stuff out. You definitely feel very hurt about what was going on based on what was promised and based on inaction also, complete inaction. So there's a swift decision to leave or go back to somebody else, something of that nature, okay? All right, Geminis, I'm going to stop here. Your extended reading is below if you want to watch that. The link will take you right to the page for purchase. All right, I love you. Bye.